This is Tacoincidence, an unconventional masterclass where we learn secrets of breakthrough culture, brand experience, and human connection from the most brilliant leaders, all while we're on the search for the perfect taco. I met up with Kylie Chen on Taco Tuesday at Black Sheep Cafe in Provo, Utah. As the founder and CEO of boutique tour operator Acanela Expeditions, she's discovered that the secret spice of her success is an endless passion for creating immersive travel experiences abroad. With operations in over 100 countries and tens of thousands of travelers, Acanela is all about human connection and local impact. I wanted to learn why she believes in the power of culture, brand experience, and human connection, what she does to create it, and how it's helped her thrive. All over tacos. It really doesn't get much better than this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's our green chili sauce is made up from an Anaheim pepper, so it's a smooth, it's not spicy, but it has a somewhat peppery taste. Our red chili is really good. I think sometimes it's overlooked. Our red chili is more of a smoky and robust flavor, and we pair that with our
Good
smoky.
description.
Yeah, I like smoky.
Do you want to do red chili? You want to go you want to share this? We'll share this one.
Let's share it. The red chili sounds great, but the green chili sounds interesting too. So, is red chili more spicy or?
No, it's just
same?
the
Okay.
difference of those sauces. So neither of them are
Okay.
spicy. If you like spice, our chefs can definitely do it spicy
Dial it up.
for you.
Not for you.
Well, you're talking to a girl who's traveled to India a dozen times. I love spice.
You've done La Muerte. So, where was it that you were in India that you got this acquisition, or was it an acquired spice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually grew up in a family where we didn't have anything spicy. Really.
Same.
We were just typical American food. We did tacos, but they weren't spicy. We did Indian food, but it wasn't spicy. But actually, when I was first starting Acanela, my company, I took a trip to India, and that was a huge pivotal moment for me to experience new cultures, new people, new foods, and I fell in love. And so I went back. I've been back almost a dozen times, I'm pretty sure, to all different parts. I think I've been to every state in India except maybe 3.
Wow.
And there's 27 states, so I love it.
India's
I love it there.
very large, yeah. And it's an amazing place.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
incredible
much
India,
to
right?
experience and learn and see, yeah.
So, was that what kicked off everything for Acanela, or how did you get your start in creating what you're doing now?
Yeah, so the idea actually came to me while I was still at school in university. I was playing basketball, actually.
Okay.
I'm a point guard, I'm 5'6", but it taught me a lot about, I've loved basketball my whole life, and it taught me a lot about being a team player. There's a lot that goes into that. But I realized that I wanted to go abroad. I never really grew up in a family that traveled outside of the U.S. We did a lot of cool, great experiences, so I really cared about having experiences from a young age, but I wanted to go a little bit further. So I was blessed with the opportunity to go study at Oxford, actually. To transfer from, I studied at BYU, to transfer there and go study for a little bit and then come back. And while I was at Oxford, it was so interesting. England is really a melting pot of so many cultures and people, in particular the schools there. So I met people from all around the world, from India, a lot of them from India, from Egypt, from other European countries. And I started to build these friendships, and I loved the experiences that I was having with them. A lot of them were around food. They would invite me over to their dorm or to their parents' house, and we would cook, and they would tell me stories from their home country. So I got to travel a little bit around Europe. I actually, at that time, backpacked Europe. The typical thing to do when you have a small budget.
Totally.
And I got to meet a lot of people and experience a lot of things, and I fell in love with that. And I would, at that time, I thought I had fallen in love with travel, but looking back on it, I realized it was more of a love for connecting with people and that curiosity around what they live, what their life was like. So I took that home with me after about a year in Europe. And I shared it with everyone. I actually launched a spice blend company. That was the first version of Acanela, with the purpose of connecting people back to these stories of these people around the world.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, I went to India. Any opportunity that I had to travel, once again, it was a backpacking experience.
Yeah.
I brought as many people as I could think of that would want to go. There was about 4 of us that ended up going. And we spent time in India and Southeast Asia and China. And when I came back from that trip, I realized that it wasn't necessarily the stories that people wanted. They wanted to actually go to the country and experience these people. That's what led me to start Acanela, was kind of stumbling upon, wow, like there's actually a market of people that want to have a more immersive, impactful experience abroad that can still be nice and still be beautiful in those ways, but it also really forms connections across cultures. So yeah, it's really only been the past 3 years that I've been focused on growing this team, and I've been out of university, and it's incredible. Yeah, we're in about 100 countries right now.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy when I look back.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So what does an Acanela experience look like for, for someone that's like, gosh, I want to go to Egypt, but it sounds like I don't want to just go and see the typical thing that everyone sees. I want to like experience Egypt.
Yeah.
Is that what that's all about?
Yeah.
Or?
So we call all of our trips expeditions for a reason. So Acanela Expeditions is kind of what we ended up branding the company as. It went from Acanela to Acanela Expeditions. Egypt is one of our top destinations, actually. So what our experiences are like, our team is spread amongst 100 countries. So we actually go in, collaborate with local artisans, local guides, local boutique hotels, and help them kind of build up their businesses. That's the element of impact that we focus on, and thus are able to put together an experience that is really immersive. So, for example, in Egypt, the hotels that we use are beautiful boutique hotels, under 30 rooms, always locally owned and operated. Usually it's a local family, so you get to really, the food is so great, and you get to build that relationship and feel like you're a part of someone's family, but it's still a nice experience.
Yeah.
And then we do a lot of cooking classes on our trips, which are super fun. We bring in different guides and artisans who are maybe, experts in a certain area, and the experiences are very hands-on. So it's not necessarily like going to the museums, although that might be a part of it. If you're in Cairo, you need to go to the ancient
there are some
museum.
things you have to do, right?
But it's a different experience because of the people that you're with, and we try to make it as immersive and hands-on as possible, while not being like anyone of any age can go on these. That's a common question that we get. I mean, we get millennials, older travelers, and it's just a fun experience because it's very intimate. Yeah.
So when people are like, "Oh, you run a travel business," like how do you say, "No, we're different"? Like, what is it that makes, like, what's the key differentiator between what you do and what other people do?
That's a great question. I get asked a lot, "Oh, so you're a travel agent? Or you're a travel agency?" I'm like, "No, we're not a travel agency." So we're actually consider ourselves a boutique tour operator. So our differentiating point is that all of our trips, 1 to 2 weeks in length, everything put together, are curated around local artisans. So everything you do is very immersive or artisan focused, whether that's walking through the markets, learning how to make a local craft, like going to do a ceramic class or weaving, or even some of our trekking experiences are very focused on trekking through beautiful areas with guides who know all about the flora and fauna. So like an artisan for us is really defined as someone who has an expert skill in something. And the other unique thing is often when you go on a trip, you're with the same person the whole time. Our trips involve so many different people, so that you're constantly getting to meet different people from different cities and different villages, because in other countries, everywhere actually around the world, there's no one that knows their community better than someone that grew up there, right? So that's what makes our experiences different, I would say, is the focus on food, the artisan experience, and actually the one that people pick up on the most is the impact. We actually, our company is focused on social impact.
Awesome.
So all of everything that we do is focused on building up sustainable businesses for locals, so that if Acanela were to leave, they still got it going. They have a website, they have everything, and they can run.
Oh, so you help them create websites and get up and going, and awesome.
Yeah. So that's a fun part. So it's impactful for the traveler, which is really important, right? Because those are our customers.
Yeah.
But it's also impactful for the local communities. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a positive
So win-win.
Win-win, yeah. So it's
cool.
awesome. Yeah.
Have you been to Kilimanjaro?
Yeah.
You hiked it?
I have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
I was surprised I summited, but I did.
You did it. How many days?
So we actually did it in 5. We planned in 7, but we were just feeling really good. We went during rainy season.
Beast mode.
And we just did it.
Make
Yeah.
it all the way to the top.
You're well traveled. This is awesome. I forgot. We haven't had a chance to talk a lot about travels.
I know. And it's such I mean, there's so many conversations to be had.
know.
I mean, you just start talking the world, and I mean, Kilimanjaro, that's like a full conversation in and of itself. Like the things that you learn, the experience, and like the Kilimanjaro's like this pole. So I like pole and pili pili. Do you know if you like spice? That was spice.
Oh, really?
I asked for it everywhere, and so
I didn't ask for that.
Pili.
Yeah. Oh, pili pili. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, yeah. I mean, like metaphor for life, right? Kilimanjaro. It doesn't photograph as nicely as the Hangzhou.
Look at these delicious tacos.
Gosh.
Look who I'm here with. We're about to just dive in.
Oh, these are so good.
Ooh.
Here we go.
Okay, I'm really excited to try
Yeah,
it.
let's just dive in here. So it seems like a lot of people are kind of gravitating towards this idea of experience, especially in the world of travel.
Yes.
I mean, you have people like Airbnb now offering. It's not just your home, but it's like experiences.
Yeah.
So how does Acanela differ even from like an Airbnb type of experience?
We focus on international travel, so a lot of our experiences are not, in the local communities of people who are going on them, right? Like here in Utah
right.
or in Los Angeles or in New York. And we're even starting to realize that. And one of our big focuses this year is launching a local event series. Because for us, there's so many opportunities to give people a taste of that cultural experience here and make sure that we keep them involved in our community rather than only when they go and travel with us. So we work with like the IRC, the International Rescue Committee. Like there's a lot of cool things that we do that we're starting to do here. So that's interesting. And I think it's actually for the same reason that, brands are turning back to brick and mortar stores as they're realizing that when you have an online business and your customer only comes face to face with you when they purchase something, you're losing opportunities to build relationships and like foster that experience further.
Yeah.
So so we even feel that actually being in the experience industry is how can we bring those experiences closer to home when maybe they're not able to go out every month of the year. Most people travel once a year if they can. Sometimes it's less frequent than that. So that's interesting. We're seeing an interesting shift. Well, we have been seeing an interesting shift in the market as far as experience goes. And Airbnb was kind of right in the verge of when that was being created. They were part of that movement in the sense that people who for so long were used to traveling and staying at, the Western hotels and maybe going out on, very kind of strict guided experiences. But people who for so long were used to going to a resort that felt safe are now
They're branching out.
And they're looking for opportunities for travel not to just be about going somewhere new and sharing about it, but more about going somewhere and changing. So Airbnb is all about that, right? As far as the accommodations go, and they are branching into experiences. But what's interesting is with kind of the increase of, office jobs and people are, working harder, you could say even working maybe less, or, the nature of jobs is changing. There is a kind of a time is the most valuable resource right now for some people, for people who are working, office jobs usually, not always. But so we found that we're kind of in the niche of saving people time and also taking care of the logistics, helping people overcome safety concerns, language barriers, by putting the entire experience together. Yeah. So
curating the whole thing.
So that's what separates us from Airbnb is it's kind of a different market. People, we actually sometimes use Airbnb properties for our experiences, but what we're doing is making the whole thing kind of a seamless experience. So from the time people leave their home till the time people depart, it's kind of taken care of. And we do customize, we do all of that so people feel like they get what they want out of it, but there's a huge, huge, huge market of people who are in the tour industry in particular who want someone else to take care of it for them. It's like traveling to Uzbekistan, Papua New Guinea, even Egypt, Morocco. Like a lot of people struggle doing that on their own. So that's kind of where we come in, and we want to make sure it's done the right way. So that's essentially what makes us different. What do we consider, putting together a tour the right way or traveling the right way.
Yeah, what does the right way look for you guys? And
I should be a little more careful in those words because I think there are a lot of ways that are the right way.
Sure.
I think it differs per person. So like the people who travel with us, we really make sure that they're a great fit. And, we do have a kind of a wide spread of people who are a great fit for us, but, everyone has different ways of traveling. A lot of people like to travel DIY. That's actually how I first started getting into travel. I love planning tours. I like being involved in those, hours of planning things. And I am risk adverse, but I'm also willing to try things. So I kind of, I understand that there are different types of travelers, but for us at Acanela, the right way is putting together an experience that is not superficial, which means that it's an experience that is very focused on the people involved, both the travelers going out and all of the local artisans that we're working with. And so we spend a lot of time focused on what those experiences are like and, tweaking them from maybe feedback we got from the travelers before. Maybe it was a good experience, but there are things that we can make it better, whether it's on the minute level, like the cooking class or the boutique hotel or even the food, how did the food taste? And so that gives us a huge opportunity to also help these local businesses just by giving them constant feedback and opportunities to change while they're still kind of obviously in charge and taking care of that. So for us, really, there's so many ways to do it right. There's also so many ways to do it wrong. But for us, the right way means really focusing in on the people, the experience that we're offering on both sides, and making sure that it's, very unique things. We actually curate quite a few experiences that you can't find anywhere else. And those are differentiating points. Like in Peru, I just did a video on this.
Awesome.
We have a special llama blessing ceremony.
What?
Where, so
That's so cool.
you go in the Laras Valley, which is on the other side of the Sacred Valley where Machu Picchu is, and you get to meet Juan and his family and be a part of their blessing the newest babies of they're technically alpacas. I don't know why they it's called a llama blessing, but the baby alpacas or llamas into the herd. And it's really special. You eat with the family. You get to be a part of the ceremony.
Every time a llama's born?
Uh-huh.
That's so cool.
Because llamas for them are like their well-being, right? If they don't have llamas, they don't have food, they don't have clothing, they don't have even fuel, from like the llama droppings, so a lot of things.
As you get feedback from people that have been on tours with you, what are some of the favorite standout like testimonials, I guess you could say? Like, what did they say that really hits home for you about the experiences that you're creating?
It's funny because we've been able to identify this more and more as we grow. I mean, being a 3-year-old company in travel is like baby, very baby. In tech, it's baby, but not as much. Travel, there are companies that have been around for 60 plus years. And so, I mean, we've been able to kind of pinpoint things that really stand out. And there are 3 actually main things that people always kind of touch on in their reviews. And the first one is always the artisan experiences. More so than that, actually, the artisans themselves. So the people that they've been able to meet, like Juan and his family. For Peru, we get a lot of feedback. It was, Machu Picchu was incredible, but I had no idea that meeting Juan and his family and participating in the special llama blessing would be the highlight of my experience. Like, not to diminish the beauty of Machu Picchu because they, love that, but they just weren't expecting it to be so unique. And it was what they shared the most, the pictures they took, the video, what they, all over social media. And so it's always interesting that, right, media has the opportunity to put a lot of things in front of us and say, this is the best part of this country, or this is why you need to go and see it, which I think there's a lot of history and culture and beautiful things behind those sites. But at the end of the day, what people end up giving feedback on that just makes me smile, and we share it with our team. Like Juan loves when he sees this feedback, that they just loved feeling a part of the family of Juan and participating in that special ceremony and understanding Peru better, or that region of Peru, understanding the community, understanding how they live. So it's very similar like in Morocco. You might have seen this video I just did on Haju, the nomad. We stopped by her house and she does a tea ceremony for everyone. And it's so cool to be in a nomadic, house, or not even a house, like canvas tent meet Haju, meet her family, participate in the tea ceremony. She doesn't speak English, so someone is there kind of helping facilitate that. We always have an English guide because if you don't speak the local language, we still don't want you to miss out on anything. And so people always comment on that. They love the Sahara Desert. It's beautiful. But what do they remember the most? They remember drinking the tea from Haju and that kind of expression on her face and how welcoming she was. So as far as feedback, that's what we get the most. Second would be the food, actually. So we're very, Acanela. Canela is Latin for cinnamon.
Totally.
We're doing the Silk
Love
Road
cinnamon.
spice trade trip for the first time this year. The whole idea is that the Silk Road and the spice route, history aside, was one of the first multi-country expeditions that exposed people to each other. You know, and in many ways there were a lot of great things that came from that. And so that was kind of the play that we started off of, or what we kind of built off of for the name of our company. We focus a lot on food and as a connection, great flavors, but as a connector
You know what?
of
I
people.
also think
Food is an international language.
totally.
Like you
Totally. I mean, the thing is, and what I love about the taco is like there's something about like eating with your hands
Yeah.
with someone that there's no barriers really. Like these are kind of weapons, right? I mean, and we're using weapons to eat,
a lot of people wouldn't know what to do with these.
right? And so
We should just get rid of them. Okay.
I know,
Goodbye.
seriously, get these out of here. How many people have you taken on trips?
Thousands.
How many expeditions?
So, I mean, we have some weeks where 20 expeditions are going at one time.
Wow.
Not always. Some of our trips, like Peru and Morocco, will run more frequently, like weekly.
Okay.
Some will run a couple times a month. Some will run seasonally, like Ethiopia or Silk Road or Antarctica, because they're not as traveled to or they're seasonal. So, yeah, I mean, we've probably taken, at least 5,000, 6,000. We're about doubling each year. So that's why I say 10,000 by the end of this year. So it's a stretch goal. Yeah.
So as you've taken thousands of people on the expeditions, what is it that what do you understand about why those personalized experiences are the things that people talk about and remember and share, as opposed to the bucket list stuff?
Yeah. I think it's because what initially draws someone to go to a destination usually is that bucket list thing, because they've heard so much about it from people or from the media. I have mixed feelings about this, but so much in our lives, especially when you come from a Western world, you're actually disconnected, right? You're working at a computer or you're conference calling. Like it's great because it's convenient, but I think in many ways it separates us from the actual personal experience. And that's why, we talked about retail, this resurgence and, there's a lot of things that are being done, not only on the brand experience side, but the company culture. And so I think when people actually end up going to these destinations, they have certain kind of an idea in mind on what it will be like. And we might have told them or they might be aware of, we're going to do a llama blessing. They kind of see the itinerary, but they don't realize how special and impactful, like a human-to-human interaction that is deeper than just hello, or, there actually is, and I find this particular in countries that maybe they're a little bit less well off, or family is really the focus. They don't have as much screen time. They really know how to connect, and I think that that's why it's such a special experience, is because of the feelings behind it. So you learn a lot. It's an incredible experience. You're also immersed, right? You're hands-on, helping with the baby llamas, throwing the water over them. There's a lot of things that go into it, it's a pretty cool ceremony. And you remember that because you're not just seeing it, but you're feeling it and you're also experiencing it. You're involved. And so, and there's people on the other side. And those are friendships that often last beyond the trip, particularly in the United States or even other Western countries where we're so focused on, growth and, being productive and efficient, which is great. Sometimes we lose that personal connection, and so when you're traveling, you experience that, it's so much more memorable than what you think. So that's what I felt, having been in the shoes of a traveler many times, and also what we hear from people. Yeah.
As you started out, 3 years ago, using your own experience as a backdrop, how critical for you was this crafting of this curated, personal, unique, human-to-human connection experience? How critical was that to your business model?
Huge, because I think I felt it early on. I saw the Colosseum And I'm not diminishing the beauty of any of these places, but I saw the Colosseum, I saw the Eiffel Tower, saw all those things. I took the pictures. It was really, magnificent. And those are great. I shared the pictures. I, put them on social media, whatever. But it was so, it only lasted a few minutes, kind of that like experience. But when I sat in the home of a Hungarian family and they cooked a meal for me and we had a conversation and I learned about their history, for generations living in Hungary and what they experienced. And then they took me to the local bathhouse. That was what I remembered. And I might have not even had as many pictures. Maybe it was like a selfie, right? So I could remember all the faces at the table. And this family in particular, I only had dinner with them one time, and it was many years ago. It was on my first trip to Europe when I studied at Oxford. I still remember that experience. I still remember the food. I can close my eyes and picture, the children laughing and jumping off the table. And, that was a very immersive experience, but it was one that I remembered, and I still stay in contact with them, and I hope to go back. And I don't necessarily, I remember, there was like a boat cruise, and there's like a famous castle you can go to in Budapest, but I remember that experience more. And so I think the experiences with people and the experiences with food changed me, and that's what I brought home remembering. And so it was so pivotal in me creating Acanela to keep those at the core of what we do. And it's hard. It's very easy to just make a tour that is, let's go check off all these bucket list things. But it's much harder to develop the relationships that you need to be able to put together an immersive experience. Yeah. So we spend a lot of time on that, but it's time, well spent.
Yeah, what have been the results of something like that, where you have a very conscientious effort to integrate that level of detail and curation and special into everything that you do? Yeah. What are the results? What have been the results for you?
Yeah, so, we've been able to put experience together that people don't necessarily, they stumble upon us. We're doing better at our branding now, but we're small. We're a small player. We're still growing. They stumble upon us and they love that. Wow, I love that you talk about all these artisans. I want to meet Juan. I want to meet Haju. This experience seems incredible. So it's the results have been great. I would say there are some challenges. There are a lot of challenges. Quality control in the industry I'm in is across borders, 100 countries. Huge.
Languages, countries, time zones, right?
So we have a model now where we essentially bring on a country director for each country that we work, and they usually are maybe a guide or someone who is very knowledgeable, a leader in their community, and has experience across multiple regions in their country, like Morocco or Peru or Egypt or Tanzania. And they help us kind of be our eyes and ears on the ground. We're very, very, very focused on locally created and crafted experience, and that's why we want everything to be done on the local level. Everyone here in the U.S. focuses mainly on marketing, sales, operations, like high-level operations. What do we need to do because we understand the Western audience? But having that country director model helps us with that quality control, and they let us know, this boutique hotel, we might need to have a conversation with them. Maybe we need to switch it up for a few trips, and then figure out how we can get them back on speed. Or this guide is having some family concerns. He's not going to be as involved. Is there something we can do to kind of, switch things up? And so it's tricky.
How do you find the right people to make this happen?
So initially it was personal relationships that I had built. I think that was key to me kind of seeing success from the beginning. So some of the people that we work with are people that I initially met when I was first traveling. And I built that relationship because I love meeting people. And I didn't realize, wow, they would be a business contact in the future. That wasn't my goal or in my mindset. So that's how a lot of them started. And once you get solid contacts in an area, right, or people I met from Oxford, once you get a solid contact, that is I look for leaders, and a leader meaning not someone who maybe is successful in their country, but someone who cares about the community and cares about sharing where they're from, because that means that the experience for the traveler is going to be incredible because they're so passionate about where they're from. Once we identify that person, they usually are able to help us get in contact with others, and it's like little network effect. What I found is, and the word spreads, I probably get 100 artisans every single week emailing me wanting to be on our team, and I wish we could work with all of them. That's why I'm we gotta grow, because there's so many talented people around the world, and so we want to be able to work with as many of them as possible. So now it's kind of to the point where we still actively search, and we we go out to countries, every year to kind of check on things and whatnot, and we make sure we have that solid contact, right? I think empathy can be built many ways, but empathy can be built in your own community by, there's here in Utah, there's so many experiences to be able to go and there's 60,000 refugees here and people from other countries. So by no means do you necessarily, need to go across borders to learn that. But when you're put in places where things are different, you don't know where you are, people are different, religions are different, what they eat is different, maybe, so many things are different, the way they live their daily lives, you're kind of, in a position where you're forced to learn, and you're also kind of put in this position of, how do I deal with this? Like, what do I think about this? And so I think it's one of the best ways to learn empathy, and I think it's something that's so needed from specifically countries where we have a lot. And so I'm a big advocate for experience, traveling across borders or even finding opportunities to travel in your own community and experience new things, like tacos, like this, So
exactly. Like, how did these principles that have brought you success and growth so quickly, how does someone in those industries embrace this?
I think in any industry, especially maybe if you're in something that's like glass, you have to find a way to create a personality behind what you're doing. Maybe that's you as the founder, sharing maybe things that don't have to do with glass, but maybe why you're doing what you're doing. Yeah. Or, I think content curation is great. Even on Instagram stories, we were talking about this earlier. It's such a kind of easy way to share what you're doing day to day. And so I think for me, in talking to organizations who maybe, companies who maybe don't have an experience-based product, find a way to make it experience-based. Local events or just sharing more of your personal stories. I know so many companies that I end up following is actually because I learn about either their founder or they do spotlights of who their company is, the people behind the brand, and they don't even have anything to do with the product. These days, there's so many choices. There's so many products. And like quality, it might be better with one than the other, but really what sets them apart is the experience and the personality behind the brand. And so that's why I actually wanted to say something. As brand experience becomes more and more important, we're actually seeing a decrease in company culture. I don't know if you've seen some articles on that. And I think it's interesting that we're placing so much emphasis on brand experience, but we don't realize that the people behind the brand are actually the ones making that. Right? Like CEOs care a lot about brand experience, but they have a hard time kind of portraying that purpose or that point to their employees, right? Because maybe they're calling them employees. They're actually people, they're team members. And I think this is something I'm really focused on this year because we're growing our team, and I think it is applicable to any company. The more that you can stress the importance of like company culture and the people behind the brand and the personality, the more that like a glass business or a jewelry business is going to feel less like I'm selling glass, but wow, the people who are part of this community of this organization that, sells glass are awesome. Like maybe I should look at their glass.
What would you say to a leader? What advice would you give them? Maybe one thing that they could do in the next 24 hours to just even increase their brand experience, make it a little bit more positive, a little bit more. What was one thing like that's pretty actionable and digestible? Yeah,
probably the one thing that I would say is find, and I'll give some specific examples, find an opportunity to connect personally with your customers or potential customers as the person behind the brand. So like for me, that means next Tuesday when we send out our email blast, I'm going to send it out from me, from Kylie, a message from me, specifically saying why I started Acanela or why this is important, how we're different. And we do that periodically. Or maybe it's a matter of if you're a local-based business, put together an opportunity for people to come to your store, have some free food, and have them come and experience the people behind the product. I mean, that's something very small that you can do if you're big, more in a media setting, sending out an email, or maybe it's a social media takeover, or as a local business, opening up your doors and doing something different, not just selling product. Don't just focus on selling. Yeah. You need to focus on building relationships, and that takes time, and you just have to be willing to invest it, and it's well worth it. Trust me, it's well worth it. So that would be like my one piece of advice, because I've seen success personally come from that, beyond just business success, but great relationships.
Yeah. Well, and that's really what it's all about anyway. I mean, business is about relationships.
Yeah.
You know, I think so much of business is turned purely transactional.
Yep.
And, you know, it's everything. The businesses that are going to continue to win are those that are realizing that it is a human-to-human interaction.
Yeah.
And no matter whether you're running a software company or you're running a very hands-on tourist company.
Yeah, well, this was awesome. Amazing food.
Thank you so
amazing
much for taking the
conversation.
time
I feel like
and
I
for sharing
learned.
oh my gosh, I learned so much from conversations with people like you that just have this laser focus on what needs to be done to really help your business thrive and to connect with people. This is all about connecting with people, you know, and you're doing it through these experiential, like immersive cultural experiences that like change lives.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. So awesome on both ends, right? So me that's experiencing this llama blessing with Juan, and then Juan is also, you know, feeling the benefits and the sustainability of the efforts as well. So,
Yeah, exactly. That's what.
So
that's
excited.
What we
Well,
want.
thank you so much for taking the time. Yeah.
Special thanks to our host, Black Sheep Cafe, for creating the ideal place for us to talk about breakthrough culture, brand experience, and human connection. That hog jowl taco is a total showstopper. Maple crusted pork cheek with salty cheese crumbles on that delicate blue corn tortilla. A definite destination taco for sure. Join the taco journey on my website. You are not going to want to miss out on the resources, courses, and of course the National Taco Tour I'm planning when I launch the book, Search for the Perfect Taco. So follow me on social media, subscribe to my channel, and tune in to another episode of Tacoincidence, where we'll continue to explore the secrets to level up your culture, brand experience, human connection, and your taco game. Okay, just throwing this in here. El Pilon.
That was so good.
Yours was like gone in like 2 seconds.
No, I really enjoyed
It's
it.
really
though.
good.
I just didn't want to. I couldn't put it down, you know, because then you like
All the flavors
lose.
separate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So why do you think that is? Why is that the thing that people remember out of, you know, you were saying like, yeah, bucket list is what draws you there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to go see the Cyclops.
Psychology.
The Sphinx is what I was thinking. I'm like, Cyclops. We have so many bloopers. This is going to be great. The blooper reel is going to be amazing on this.
Which is the experience that people often want, right? To see the behind the scenes.